Okay, so I've done a bunch of work on this thing. It sat around for years and years and years. This is an old Craftsman with the Kohler command. I forget what it is, 20 horsepower. 20 and a half horsepower. Anyway, the last problem I had is mowing the grass with it after I got it going again, and the clutch quit on it. And so, okay, well, that's a bummer. No big deal though, the clutch around front up there, according to a good old YouTube video, which, boy, thanks everybody who does YouTube videos. It really makes a difference. I'm not done cutting the grass, that's why it looks like this. There's the clutch right there. So the clutches run anywhere from about $100 for a cheap Chinese knockoff to like $400 for the original OEM part. So before I ordered one, luckily, I decided I'd do the smart thing and check this out, make sure what we're looking at. So here's the switch. It's kicked out one day, it wouldn't kick in. So let's see if I can show you this. Where is it? That's the harness right there. So this harness right here. Now when you pull that apart, it's a royal pain in the butt. It's got a little tab you have to lift up. I stuck a little screwdriver in there and grabbed it with a pair of pliers because it busted my thumbnail here trying to pry that thing up. So here's the power cord it runs to, goes through a little hole there down to the clutch. So just for the heck of it, I figured I'd get my old voltmeter out and just make sure I had power going to the clutch, because you want to verify I'm going to spend anywhere between 100 and 400 bucks on a clutch. I want to make sure the clutch is actually bad. And this clutch, I thought for sure it was, because this thing makes lots and lots of noise. It's old. I had problems with it being locked up when I first got a hold of this thing. Anyway, I pull this plug. The red wire is a power wire, black's a ground. Goes up here to the switch, of course. You can't really see that, can you? So there's a big plug on the back of that switch. Let's see if I can just get it off of there. There's the plug for the switch. My fingers out of the way. Anyway, so you see that? Can you see that? There's the plug. Find a red wire. Red wire should have voltage there, and it goes across. I assumed it just goes across to the other one, so you can check for continuity on those two terminals in there, the one side by side. So if you put voltmeter and check the continuity across the two terminals, pull this sucker out, you should have continuity. So with it plugged in, I'll plug that back in a minute. I pulled the plug on it, and I got 8 volts here at this red wire. Now 8 volts, this is a 12 volt system. It doesn't sound right, but you know, I'm not sure. Does it only use 8 volts, which is kind of weird. So I went up to the thing up here, stuck my voltmeter in this plug, and lo and behold, I got 12 volts there. So I went and checked the continuity on that switch, and it was intermittent. Hold on, I gotta push that in with both hands. So I took a little wire brush and just cleaned up the terminals on that side and monkeyed around with the switch a little bit, and lo and behold, I got my 12 volts. So having gone from nothing, you hear that? Lo and behold, my clutch works again. So before, and I went on mowed grass, so before you change that clutch out, especially if it's old like this, do yourself a favor and verify that you got 12 volts coming down to this plug. 12 volts going into that plug. This plug has got a whole mess of terminals on it. It's all those terminals are on there, so the clutch will not power, or the engine won't run, I should say. The engine won't run if you have the clutch engaged and you get off, because there's a safety switch on the seat. So it's designed so that it will not run. Same thing, if it's not, the pedal's not depressed. Yeah, that pedal's not depressed, it won't engage. You would basically have to be on board and ready to go in a proper safety manner. I still haven't gotten around to, if you look at one of the earlier videos, the ignition switch on this one doesn't work so good, so you can hear that. In order to get the fuel solenoid to operate, which has to have 12 volts to open up, I just bypassed it because something in the ignition switch isn't engaging that. So you turn the key, you got to have that solenoid engaged in order to get gas through the carburetor. But for right now, I'm going to leave it like that. This was a big win for me. I needed a big win because I got 2 other projects that have gone bad, and I'm still working on those. Anyway, do yourself a favor, check for voltage at that switch. If it hacks up again, I know I'll probably have to change that out, or I may just bypass it because I'm once I know what I've bypassed, this thing, I hate to bypass a whole bunch of stuff. If I ever get to where I need to sell this thing, I'll have to fix all that stuff, because I don't want to turn it over to somebody else when you have to do all those monkeying around little things to get it to run. But technically I can just bypass those 2 terminals, stick a switch somewhere in here, and just use a toggle switch to turn on the clutch and off, and just remember that I'll have to be careful, because then I'll be able to get off without get off the motor without the seat switch operating it. Or there's a bunch of different ways you can disable things. But anyway, that's basically it. Good luck. Hopefully it'll save you some money, and that should be it for this one mower for the time being, until I get around to doing any of that other stuff. Alright, take care.